Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about something I never thought I'd be saying out loud, at least not like this, and definitely not on camera. But here we are, and it needs to be said. Dating apps, the kind that used to be just for adults looking for relationships or hookups, are now becoming a sort of twisted playground for teenagers. And not in the way you'd hope. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what I'm doing here. I post these videos because someone has to say the things most parents don't realize until it's too late. Wherever you are right now, whatever time it is, take a deep breath. This one's going to hit close to home. Now, let's listen to the compelling story in this video of mine. It started subtly, like most things with teenagers do. My daughter had just turned 15, bright, funny, kind-hearted. She was everything I dreamed she would be and more. But she was also curious. She was also trying to figure out who she was. And the internet gave her this massive mirror to stare into, distorted and glittering all at once. I didn't know she was on dating apps. Not at first. To me, she was just glued to her phone more than usual. But isn't that every teenager? She was snapping with friends, scrolling through memes, laughing at TikToks, or so I thought. One night, I caught a glimpse of a conversation when she left her screen unlocked by accident. The icon wasn't Instagram. It wasn't even Snapchat. It was an app I didn't recognize. A dating app meant for 18-plus users, downloaded quietly through a web link. I asked her about it. She smiled, shrugged, and said, "It's just for fun. We don't even meet anyone. We just rate profiles. It's like a game." That phrase stuck with me. It's like a game. The truth is, that's exactly how it begins. Teenagers, especially girls, aren't necessarily using these apps to date. They're using them to explore identity, to see who finds them attractive, to feel validated. For many, it starts as innocent curiosity, a little rebellion, something private, something thrilling. But dating apps aren't playgrounds. They're not designed for children. They weren't built with the teenager's emotional development in mind. They're built for adult interactions, often shallow, often risky, and often sexually charged. And that means teens using them are stepping into spaces where they are automatically at a disadvantage. I found out later that my daughter wasn't alone. At least 3 of her friends were using similar apps. Some had even made fake birthdays to unlock more access. They traded screenshots of conversations the way we used to trade handwritten notes in class. Look what he said to me. He thinks I'm 19. This guy has a motorcycle. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about rebellion. It was about identity. It was about feeling grown up before they really were. And those apps, algorithms and all, rewarded that feeling. They fed it with matches, messages, likes, emojis, and late-night attention from people who were way too old to be talking to kids. It's not just the apps either. It's the environment. Teenagers are surrounded by content that glorifies adult relationships, hookup culture, and the constant pursuit of being chosen. If a girl gets 30 likes on Instagram but 300 on a dating app, that's a dopamine hit. Her brain won't forget. Even the language they use has shifted. Talking to someone doesn't mean a crush at school. It means someone they met online. Linking up doesn't mean studying together. It means a potential meetup with someone whose real name might not even be known. And the scariest part? They think they're in control. I asked my daughter, "What if the person you're chatting with isn't who they say they are?" She rolled her eyes. We can tell. We're not stupid. But here's the truth. It's not about being stupid. It's about being young. When you're a teenager, your brain is still building the part that makes good decisions, the part that slows you down when something feels off. And dating apps are designed to override hesitation. Swipe, match, message, boom. It's an instant loop of attention and risk, over and over again. At some point, it stopped being theoretical. One of her friends agreed to meet someone from the app. She told her parents she was going to the library. Instead, she met a 22-year-old man. At least that's what he said he was. He showed up in a car, picked her up, drove her around the block. Nothing bad happened that time. But it easily could have. And the worst part is, that friend didn't even realize it was dangerous until after it was over. "It was chill," she told my daughter. "He just bought me a drink." That sentence made my stomach turn. Because you and I both know what that could have turned into. I didn't flip out on my daughter. I didn't ground her or take away her phone. I sat down. I told her I needed her to tell me everything, everything. And to my surprise, she did. Because I wasn't yelling, I was listening. It's not enough to monitor screen time or block downloads anymore. Teenagers find workarounds. They always will. What we need to do is understand why they're drawn to these platforms in the first place. The real danger isn't the app itself. It's what it represents. A world where validation is instant, boundaries are blurry, and predators can wear any face they want. And here's the thing. No app can teach a teen to value their instincts. No filter can replace the trust built between a parent and a child. But that trust starts with honesty, with presence, with saying, hey, I know you're curious. I was too, but here's what you don't see. Because dating apps, they're not just about love anymore. They're about power, performance. And for teenagers, they're becoming traps wrapped in heart emojis. And the ones falling in, they don't even realize it until it's too late. The moment I started digging deeper, I realized just how easy it was for someone to lie online, and how fast that lie can become something dangerous. My daughter showed me some of the messages she'd received on that dating app. At first glance, they seemed harmless, flirty, full of emojis, compliments like, "You're so mature for your age," or "You don't look 15 at all." But then I noticed the profiles. These weren't teenage boys. Some of the men messaging her were well into their 20s, and one, according to his own bio, was 32. And yet, he matched with a profile that clearly said she was 15. How is that even allowed? I asked her. She just shrugged. They don't check anything. And she was right. That was the terrifying part. Dating apps have safeguards, yes, but most of them rely on a basic honor system. Enter your age, upload a picture, say what you're looking for. That's it. There's no real ID check, no hard barrier preventing an adult from lying, or a teenager from pretending they're older. Some apps have introduced verification systems, little blue check marks, video selfies, photo matches, but even those can be faked or bypassed with a little effort. And if someone really wants to target teens, they know which apps are the most lax. They even talk about it in forums, how to find the younger crowd, how to make a profile look harmless, how to sound cool but not creepy. I read one of those forums myself. I wish I hadn't, but I needed to understand the enemy. There were men, adults, talking about how to fish for girls who are bored, lonely, or craving attention. They bragged about using fake photos, fake ages, fake identities. Some even gave tips on how to move the conversation off the app quickly, to text, to Snapchat, to untraceable places where screenshots disappear and accountability vanishes. I couldn't sleep that night. Not because my daughter had been talking to these people, but because she could have been. Any teen could be. And here's the catch. These conversations don't start as abuse. They start as compliments. You're beautiful. I've never met someone who gets me like you do. Your parents just don't understand you. I'm here for you. Always. It's grooming, plain and simple. But to a teenager, it feels like affection. It feels like connection, especially if that teen is going through something hard. Friend drama, feeling invisible, struggling with self-esteem. These predators know exactly what buttons to press, what compliments to give, when to back off, and when to push. They're patient, they're calculated, and they've done this before. I remember one conversation in particular my daughter showed me. The guy, who claimed to be 19, said he liked how different she was, that she was wise beyond her years, that he couldn't believe someone like her was still single. She didn't think it was weird. She thought it was romantic. But when I looked at the way he responded, how he subtly shifted from compliments to questions about her family, her schedule, whether she had her own room, it made my blood run cold. That's how the trap is laid. Slowly, carefully, with charm. And teens don't realize it's happening because it doesn't feel bad. That's what makes it so effective. There's no red flag at first. Just warmth, curiosity, a voice that feels like safety. By the time the tone shifts, when the flattery becomes requests for photos or video calls late at night or proof of trust, it's already too late. That bond is formed. And for a teen, breaking that bond feels like heartbreak, not escape. I asked my daughter what she would do if someone asked her for a photo she wasn't comfortable sending. She didn't answer right away. I guess I just ignore them, she said, or block them. But the truth is, many teens don't. Because now they've been made to feel special. The guilt sets in. Don't you trust me? I thought we had something. You said you liked me. These are phrases kids aren't emotionally equipped to resist when they feel like someone finally sees them. And then there's the shame. One of her friends, I'll call her Lila, confided in me after things spiraled. She had been talking to a guy for weeks, thinking he was her age. He was sweet, always online, always checking in. Then one day he asked for a photo. Nothing explicit, just a cute picture in her pajamas. She sent it. The next week he asked for another. This time it was a little more revealing. When she hesitated, he got angry. Then he threatened her, said he'd share her first photo online if she didn't cooperate. Blackmail. This is how fast it happens. I asked her if she told her parents. She shook her head. I was too embarrassed, she whispered. I didn't want them to be mad. I didn't want them to think I was gross. That broke me, because what started as a teenager playing around on an app turned into fear, anxiety, and silence. And Lila's not alone. Thousands of kids, yes, kids, are going through this exact cycle every day, and most of them say nothing. They hide it. They delete the apps. They erase the messages. They bury the shame. And unless we look, we won't see it. Unless we ask, they won't tell us. And unless we're open, they won't trust us to help. So no, this isn't just about fake profiles. This isn't just about age gaps or rules being broken. This is about how easily teenagers can be manipulated right in our own homes by people we'll never see coming. The worst part? These predators don't need to touch a child to damage them. They just need access. That's it. And these apps hand it to them on a silver platter. By now, you'd think I would have locked every device in the house, deleted every app, and hovered like a hawk. That was definitely my first instinct. But I knew that fear doesn't protect teenagers. Understanding does. And to understand how this all works, I had to go deeper into the part most parents never get to see, how grooming actually feels to a teenager. It doesn't start with fear. It doesn't start with threats or creepy messages or photos out of nowhere. It starts with something so simple, so ordinary. It almost feels harmless. It starts with a compliment. You have amazing eyes. You seem like you really get people. I love how real you are. Now imagine you're 14 or 15. You've had a hard week. Maybe your friends left you out. Maybe your parents argued downstairs again. Maybe you just looked in the mirror and didn't like what you saw. Then someone pops up on your screen. Funny, flirty, saying all the right things. Someone who thinks you're special, who messages you first, who pays attention only to you. How would that feel? Exactly. That's the trap. Grooming doesn't happen with strangers in white vans anymore. It happens in the palm of your child's hand, in their bedroom, in total silence. I watched one of my daughter's chats unfold in real time. It started with a hi, then a bit of banter, a joke about her profile song, a gift from a show she liked. This guy knew exactly what to say. He wasn't pushy. He didn't ask for anything. Not yet. He built trust. Over the course of a week, he sent good morning messages, told her to have a great day at school, asked if she ate lunch, sent her memes, compliments, playlists. He made her laugh. And when she vented about stress, he said, "You can always talk to me. I won't judge." It's that emotional support that pulls them in, because teens don't get validation like that consistently. Not from peers, not even from parents sometimes. And predators know it. I started to recognize the pattern. Step 1, make her feel seen. Step 2, make her feel understood. Step 3, make her feel indebted. That's when things shift. Suddenly the messages turned personal. He started calling her baby and angel. He sent a shirtless selfie. He told her she was the kind of girl he could fall for. She was glowing, feeling wanted, feeling grown. And honestly, who doesn't want that feeling? But here's the kicker. Right after those warm messages, he casually dropped in, "Send me a cute pic of you, just for me." And my daughter paused. She didn't send one, not this time. But when she told me about it, she said something that shook me. It didn't feel bad. It just felt like maybe I should. Not because she wanted to, but because he made her feel like she owed him. That's the point where grooming crosses from comfort to control, where the predator stops being the sweet guy and becomes the puppet master. Some teens give in. They send a selfie, then another. And because these predators are smart, they never ask for the most explicit photo first. They inch toward it. "Let's play a game," they say. I'll show you mine if you show me yours. They chip away at discomfort by pretending it's normal. But the second a teen gives in, the second they hit send, the script flips. Now the predator has leverage. Don't ghost me now. I thought you trusted me. You don't want your parents to see this, do you? Fear replaces affection. Anxiety replaces excitement. And now the teen is stuck, trapped in a spiral of silence and shame. I asked my daughter if any of her friends had ever gone through that. She hesitated, then told me about Jenna, a friend from school who was smart, funny, confident. Jenna had met someone on an app and talked to him for weeks. She was convinced he was 17. He sent her pictures, told her she was beautiful, made her feel like the center of his world. Then he asked for a photo. She sent one. Within days, he was threatening her. He said he had friends who could ruin her life. He said he'd send the photo to her entire school. She stopped sleeping. She stopped eating. She finally broke down in front of her older sister and told the truth. That predator was actually 28, married, with a job. He knew exactly what he was doing. The police got involved, but the damage was already done. Jenna transferred schools. She barely talked to anyone for months, all because of one moment where trust felt real, but wasn't. So if you're wondering how grooming works, that's how. It's slow, it's strategic, and it feels good until it absolutely doesn't. And here's something I never thought I'd say. It can happen to any teen. Your good kid, your quiet kid, your honor roll kid, your athlete, your artist. Because it's not about who they are, it's about how they feel in the moment someone gives them the attention they crave. I don't say this to scare you. I say this because fear doesn't save them. Awareness does. And I learned the hard way that just saying don't talk to strangers or be careful online is about as useful as whispering during a concert. It gets drowned out by louder voices, slicker ones. Voices that sound like love, but are anything but. So now when I talk to my daughter, I don't say don't use dating apps. I say, let's talk about who's talking to you. Let's look at how they talk. Let's decode this together. Because the moment you give teens the tools to recognize manipulation, they get stronger. They start to see through the charm. They pause at the right moments. They speak up. And maybe, just maybe, that pause is all it takes to keep them safe. It's one thing to chat with someone online. It's another thing entirely when those chats turn into real-life meetups. That's when the danger becomes terrifyingly real. And I'm not exaggerating. I used to believe that as long as things stayed digital, we had some kind of safety net. But I couldn't have been more wrong. The truth is, these apps make it incredibly easy to transition from screen to street. One of the most chilling moments I've ever experienced as a parent was the night my daughter told me casually that she had almost met up with someone from an app. Almost. It would have been in broad daylight, just coffee, she said, at a place near school. She told me like it was nothing, like she was going to meet a classmate or a friend of a friend. But the person she was talking about was not a teenager. He said he was 20. She was 15. And in reality, he could have been 30 or 40 for all she knew. She didn't end up going, not because of fear, because he ghosted her. Yes, he ghosted her. And instead of being relieved, she was heartbroken. That scared me more than anything else. She had emotionally invested in someone who had no business talking to her in the first place. And when he bailed, she blamed herself. These online conversations aren't harmless texting. They feel like relationships to teens. They form emotional bonds. And when that bond extends to meeting up, well, that's when you realize how quickly things can spiral. I've spoken with other parents since then, and the stories are all too familiar. One mom I met through a parent group told me her 14-year-old daughter met someone from a dating app and actually went to see him. She took an Uber, lied about where she was going, met him at a park. He brought her snacks and said he just wanted to chill. She said it was fine, nothing happened, but that's the version she told. Another dad I talked to found out his son had been meeting up with older men under the guise of just talking. It wasn't until the boy broke down in tears after a man tried to coerce him into sex that the truth came out. This is happening all around us, quietly, repeatedly. The problem is the transition from online to in-person isn't some giant leap. It's gradual. It's sneaky, the way predators make it sound so normal. Let's grab boba. Let me walk you home from school. Can I see you for 5 minutes? Just 5. You don't have to do anything. I just want to see you. And when teens meet someone they've been messaging with, they're not scared. They're excited. They're nervous, but in the butterflies in your stomach way. Because they don't think it's a threat. They think it's the next step in something meaningful. That's what predators count on. And unlike old school danger, where you could spot a suspicious adult hanging around the school or the mall, these guys appear out of nowhere. They meet up, disappear, and leave no trace behind. Sometimes nothing happens, but sometimes it does. And even when it doesn't, the emotional fallout can be immense, because now the teen knows they crossed a line. They lied, they took a risk, they feel trapped between shame and fear. And that silence? It only makes things worse. What scares me most is that these meetups are often pre-planned in plain sight. Teens will say they're going to study, or to the gym, or to a friend's house. They'll pack a change of clothes, sneak out the back, delete location history, cover their tracks. And as parents, we're usually none the wiser. Not because we're bad parents, but because we trust them and we forget how fast they're learning to outsmart us. Teenagers today are tech savvy. They can fake screenshots, create secret folders, change contact names, use disappearing message apps. You think they're texting Emma from math class? That could be anyone. You think they're watching YouTube? They could be arranging a meeting with a grown adult who's been grooming them for weeks. And here's the kicker. Most of them don't think it's wrong. They think we just don't get it. That's why we can't just scare them with horror stories. That only makes them hide more. We need to teach them how to assess risk, how to listen to that voice inside that says, this doesn't feel right, how to delay, how to think critically about what someone is asking and why. When I realized how close my daughter came to putting herself in danger, I didn't yell. I didn't punish her. I told her the truth. I said, look, I know what you're feeling. I remember wanting to be liked, wanting to feel grown up. But there are people out there who don't care about you. They only care about what they can get from you. I told her stories, not the gruesome ones, but the ones where girls were tricked, where they were hurt, where they wished they had trusted their gut. And then I asked her, if you ever get that feeling, even a little, will you come to me? She said yes. I believed her, but I also knew it was on me to keep that door open. Because when teens go from messaging to meeting, things can go downhill fast. And sometimes there's no rewind button. So no, this isn't about helicopter parenting. This is about real-world safety. And the reality is that dating apps aren't just on phones. They're on bikes, at malls, outside the corner store. They're turning into real-life risks faster than we can track them. And if we aren't having these conversations early, often, and openly, we're leaving our kids to figure it out alone. And in this world, alone is the most dangerous place they can be. If you think all of this sounds overwhelming, you're right. But what really crushes me is how many parents, good, loving, involved parents, have absolutely no idea it's happening. That's what I mean when I say we're always one step behind. Not because we're lazy, not because we don't care, but because the tech, the apps, the platforms, they evolve faster than we do. And teenagers, they adapt even faster. I thought I was doing everything right. I had parental controls. I checked browser history. I even followed my daughter on social media. We had a no phone in the bedroom rule, a curfew, and the whole digital hygiene talk. And still, it wasn't enough. Why? Because the moment I figured out one app, she had moved on to another. The moment I blocked one site, she found a VPN. The moment I learned how to parent, she was learning how to evade. And it's not just her, it's all of them. I had coffee with 3 other moms last month and casually brought up dating apps. One of them laughed and said, well, thank God my son doesn't do that. He's way too into video games. I didn't say it out loud, but I thought, you'd be surprised. I've seen the forums where boys talk about chatting with women twice their age. I've read the threads where they brag about how easy it is to get around age restrictions. Nobody's child is immune. Even the good kids. The church-going kids. The honor students. The athletes. Because it's not about bad behavior. It's about curiosity, vulnerability, and access. And if they feel like they can't come to you with their questions or mistakes, they'll go to someone else, someone on an app who is more than happy to exploit that need. It doesn't help that these platforms are designed to look harmless. They're colorful, trendy, they have names that sound fun, like social hangout apps or friend finders. Many of them don't even market themselves as dating apps. But teens know, and predators really know. So what happens when your child does start getting messages? What happens when they start talking to someone who seems nice? If you're not paying attention, and I mean really paying attention, you might never find out until something goes wrong. I remember one night my daughter looked pale at dinner. Not sick, just off. When I asked her what was wrong, she said, "I'm just tired." That's a parent red flag if there ever was one. Tired? That's code for something's bothering me, but I don't know how to say it. I let it go that night. But later I checked her phone, not to spy, but to make sure everything was okay. And that's when I saw the messages from someone named Leo. It had gone from "you're beautiful" to "send me something private, I won't save it," in just a few days. And here's the part that made my heart break. She didn't even look scared. She looked conflicted. Like part of her knew it was wrong, but the other part was afraid to disappoint him. That's what predators count on. That silence, that shame, that emotional confusion. So I sat her down again. No yelling, no anger. I just said, if someone ever makes you feel like you have to do something in secret, they are not your friend. She nodded. But I knew it wasn't just about Leo. It was about every kid like her. Every teen navigating this chaotic world with half a map and no compass. And that's when I realized something. We're not just behind on the technology. We're behind on the language. We say be safe, but teens hear don't get caught. We say come to me if something happens, but they hear I'll be disappointed if you mess up. We need to speak in a way they understand. No vague warnings, no guilt, just truth. Try this instead. Has anyone ever messaged you in a way that felt too personal too fast? What would you do if someone asked you for something private? If a friend was in trouble, what would you tell them to do? These aren't lectures. They're lifelines. Open-ended questions create conversation, and conversation builds trust. And trust is the only thing that makes a teen pause before doing something risky. Because here's the other trap. A lot of teens know they're doing something they shouldn't, but they don't know how to stop. They're already in too deep. They're afraid of getting someone in trouble, or worse, getting themselves in trouble. So instead, they go silent. And silence is what lets danger grow. One mom I met recently told me her daughter had been messaging an older guy for over a month before she said a word. You know what finally made her talk? A TikTok. A video about digital abuse that mirrored exactly what she was going through. She saw herself in that story. She came forward. And that's what this is really about. Giving teens the language and awareness to recognize what's not okay before it becomes trauma, before it becomes headlines, before it becomes another story parents tell through tears and regret. So yes, we're behind, but we don't have to stay there. The moment we stop pretending it can't happen to our kid, the moment we stop blaming and start asking, the moment we build trust before crisis, that's when we start getting ahead. Not of the apps, not of the predators, but ahead of the silence. And that might be the one thing that saves your child when you're not looking. If there's one thing this entire journey has taught me, it's that fear isn't enough. You can scare a teen all day long with statistics, horror stories, or headlines, but fear fades. Curiosity doesn't. Connection doesn't. And predators definitely don't. That's why we need to stop thinking we can ban the danger away. We can't just take their phones and expect the world to become safe. We can't block every app and hope they never find a workaround. Because they will. They always do. Teenagers are smart, stubborn, and tech-savvy, and the second we try to shut them down without explaining why, we've already lost. The solution isn't force. It's education. And not just the boring rule-based kind. I mean the kind that teaches them to recognize danger by how it feels, not just what it looks like. When I finally sat my daughter down to talk seriously about dating apps, I didn't come in angry. I came in with questions, and together, we broke things down. We talked about grooming, not in the abstract, but step by step. How did he first get your attention? What kinds of things did he say that made you feel good? When did it start to feel off? Those were powerful conversations, because for the first time, she understood how someone could seem kind, safe, even romantic, and still be trying to manipulate her. She realized that trust can be weaponized, that compliments can be currency. That feeling flattered isn't the same as feeling respected. One night, we even role-played conversations. I pretended to be someone messaging her with charm. She had to figure out which responses were red flags. At first, she laughed. "Mom, I know this stuff." But halfway through, she paused and said, "Wait, I've heard that before." That's when it clicked. Teens don't need a lecture. They need pattern recognition. They need to spot the cues, the shifts, the manipulations hidden behind emojis and heart eyes. We talked about real tactics predators use, asking for photos just for them, insisting no one else will understand, trying to isolate them from friends or family, turning flattery into guilt. I thought we had something. Pressuring secrecy. Don't tell anyone about this. And then we practiced the response. No. Not a soft no, not a maybe later, but a real, firm no. We talked about boundaries, not just physical, but emotional. Digital. Time-based. Who gets access to her? Who deserves to know her? Who earns her trust? Because that's the heart of it all. Teaching our teens to own their space, to know their worth, to understand that they don't owe anyone a reply, a photo, a meeting, or even their attention. And more importantly, we taught her what to do if something does happen. If someone makes you uncomfortable, come to me. No judgment, no punishment. If you feel pressured, let's talk about it, even if you already said yes and now you're not sure. If you're scared, I'll be the calm one. I'll handle the chaos. You just be honest. Because nothing shuts a teen down faster than fear of disappointing us. So we have to say it, out loud and often. You can mess up and still come to me. I wish someone had told me that when I was younger. The conversations aren't always easy. Sometimes she rolls her eyes. Sometimes she says, "I know, Mom," but I still say it, every time. Because one of those times might be the one she remembers when it matters most. I've started encouraging her to talk to her friends about it too. Not in a preachy way, but in a "hey, this happened to someone I know" kind of way. Because peer voices matter, sometimes more than ours. And if we can empower just one teen to pause before hitting send, to block before they meet up, to ask for help before it's too late, then it's worth every awkward conversation. I also make sure she knows what healthy attention looks like, what respect feels like, what real care sounds like, so she can compare it when something feels off. Because here's the final truth. We can't delete every danger, but we can build their inner compass. We can raise teens who listen to their instincts, ask questions, set boundaries, trust us, speak up. That's how we flip the script, not by scaring them into silence, but by training them into awareness, resilience, strength. So yes, dating apps can be traps, but they don't have to be fatal ones. Not if we teach our teens to see the bait, spot the hook, and walk away before it snaps shut. And the best tool we have? Our relationship with them, our presence, our patience, our willingness to talk when it's hard and listen when it's harder. Because our kids are smart, they're capable. And with our help, they can be safe too. Conclusion. So here we are, at the end of a long, emotional, and honestly uncomfortable conversation. But it's one we had to have, because this isn't just about apps. It's about connection. It's about vulnerability. It's about how easily a teenager, your teenager, any teenager, can be pulled into something they don't fully understand until it's too late. Dating apps are not inherently evil. Technology isn't the enemy. But when adult spaces blur into teenage playgrounds and curiosity collides with manipulation, we end up with kids carrying trauma they don't know how to name, shame they don't know how to share, guilt they never deserved in the first place. That's why your presence matters more than any parental control app. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to know every acronym or keep up with every new platform. You just need to show up. Ask questions. Stay curious. Replace punishment with conversation. Replace fear with preparation. Because when your teen believes they can come to you without being judged, you become their safest place. And when they have that safety, they start making stronger choices. Teach them to listen to their gut, to question attention that feels too good to be true, to set digital boundaries, to protect their bodies, their hearts, their peace of mind. And tell them, again and again, you are never alone. You can always come to me. That one sentence might be the reason they stop before it's too late. Thanks for staying with me through this. I know it was heavy, but if it helps one family avoid the pain we went through, then it was worth every word. Finish the script, enjoy listening, and subscribe to the channel to see the next video.